I'm going to use this post from the Confessions of a Single Woman to lead into a Reddit post. This question says, why don't men tell you they have erectile dysfunction before you catch feelings? They talk so much. If you look at any dating profiles, if you look at social media platforms, they're always talking about sMex. Always, always, always. But their health is not doing what it's supposed to do because the Peens are not reacting how they're supposed to. So let's talk about it. Confessions of a Single Woman made the comment, it's important for men to share about erectile dysfunction early in the relationship, as it can be due to hormones, medical conditions, medication. Unfortunately, many men feel embarrassed and avoid seeking help, even though there are options like Viagra. Being upfront, it helps both partners understand the situation better and approach it without judgment. Pretending it doesn't exist only leads to misunderstandings. But that communication, that would mean that like they actually cared to talk to women. But when they lead with things like their peen and talking about sMex all the time, they can't back down. So I think that it's hard for them to actually talk about this type of stuff. And a lot of it is medical conditions and their health. They have many of these single men have the diets of Hennessy and hot wings. They're not doing that well, especially if they are not paired up with a woman. So I don't think that a lot of these things will be resolved. I will tell y'all what Julie said. She says, now that I'm single, I have the opportunity to start over with a new man. I want one with a hard peen and no prostate cancer this time around. Apologies to the men here who think it shouldn't matter. It matters to me, and I get to decide that, not you. I'm going to learn to have this conversation early in the relationship. Thank you for bringing this up. Confessions of a Single Woman. That leads me to this Reddit thread. Now, this woman actually sent me a message in my Instagram inbox, and she posted this on Reddit 2 years ago. I'm doing this because this was back in December of 2022. So I've added a lot of people since then, and there's been an update. So I'm just going to do the whole story. She says, am I the a-hole for buying my boyfriend groceries? Now, off top, it does not sound like she is an a-hole for buying groceries, but let's look at this. So the boyfriend is 26. All right, the boyfriend's 26, she's 27 at the time. She says, my boyfriend and I were pillow talking one afternoon at my place. He would often talk about marriage and how he pictured our lives. We've only been together for 4 months. Specifically, we were discussing our ideas of how household chores and cooking would be divided. He suggested we both be responsible for chores and cooking. We split chores and cooking 50-50. That was kind of confusing to me because I had never seen him cook for himself in the time we've been together. I've only seen him eat takeout or his family cooks for him. He's still living with his parents. When I brought up the fact that he doesn't cook for himself, he insisted that he did, just not all the time. Okay, so then I mentioned my idea. I told him we'd split chores by skill level. For example, if I'm better at cooking, I would handle most of the cooking. I would even clean the kitchen when I'm done. He would handle most of the cleaning or vice versa. I would still tidy up after myself, of course. He said, no, that's not ideal for him, and he wouldn't give a reason why besides that's not how I pictured my life. I got irritated because I felt like this would be a slippery slope for me to end up doing everything. He changed the subject, so I dropped it too. Anyway, before he left my place to go home, he ordered us both food. I thought it was really nice of him. I wanted to take care of his dinner that night. I was about to get his favorite takeout from Uber Eats when I thought about the conversation we had earlier about him cooking. I ordered him groceries instead, but I didn't tell him right away. I honestly thought he'd have fun with it. We were on the phone and I told him I wanted to get his dinner tonight. I asked what his ideal dinner was. He said spaghetti, salmon, and broccoli. So that's what I ordered. I got all the ingredients, had it sent to his home. I even ordered enough for his whole family. I made sure he wasn't busy that night too. I guess this made him assume I'd be cooking for him, so he got excited. When I got the notification that it was delivered, I told him, He didn't believe me until his dad told him there were groceries at the door. He was pissed. His dad saw how pissed he was. He suggested that his wife would cook the food later when she got home from work. I politely declined and said I was sure my boyfriend could handle it. That made him even madder. He started going through the groceries, complaining about the food. He even said, and I quote, "This ain't even what I like. If you're going to do something, you need to get it right." At that point, I had enough and hung up in his face. Here's why I think I might be the a-hole. He called back and argued that I only did it to prove a point, which is true. I feel like if we were discussing marriage, those are things I need to see in a husband. I want someone who is capable of taking care of himself and won't wait for me to do it. Plus, I don't think he'd be dating me if I didn't know how to cook. He didn't care to hear my side, so I told him I'd never do that again for him and hung up. And now I'm rethinking our relationship. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. I like to add to this that he expected me to cook for him when we got together. He said he's used to the women in his family spoiling him. I told him he had no right to expect me to cook for him. He just dropped it. Yet I always feed him when I cook and he's at my place. I also expressed to him that I'd like for him to cook for me like I do for him. He says he will, but he always finds an excuse. So in the comments were kind of mixed. Some people were like, everyone sucks here. Some people were saying she's not the a-hole. But he did say that he would cook. So she even bought him. She created a situation where he didn't have any excuses. If he's going to cook, and she gave him everything that he needed. He didn't even have to go to the grocery store. Going to the grocery store is like 30% of the situation. He didn't even have to do that. And he still got mad. That tells me and her and a lot of people in the comments, like I said, this was from 2 years ago, that he wasn't planning on doing anything. And like I said, this woman sent me this message specifically into my my Instagram inbox. So we were talking just yesterday. So yesterday we were talking about the update that happened now, but there was a part that she didn't put in the Reddit post. So up here she was talking about she just dodged a big bullet. She said, "This guy that I recently broke up with sounds like he'll be one of the guys you'll talk about one day. He's actually younger than me, but he had a refractory period of 24 hours. He was terrible in bed. He could not keep an erection at all. He would make me count down during sex, like sexy time, like sexy countdown. I don't know if there's a way to sexily count down, but that's what she's talking about here. He couldn't keep an erection at all. He would make me count down during sex. He also ate horribly. He ate at a popular fried chicken chain almost every day. At the time we were dating, he hadn't been to the doctor in almost 4 years. When he finally went, his doctor told him that his cholesterol was abnormally high for his age. Remember when I said a lot of these people have the diets of Hennessy and hot wings, and that is impacting them early. Keep in mind, this man is in his 20s. So yesterday I was asking, is there an update? What happened? She was like, we are absolutely not together anymore. I broke up with him because he got violently angry shortly after I sent this post. He was at my place because I was sick. He was helping around my apartment. We sat down to plan a vacation since we both had PTO to burn. To make a long story short, he didn't have his half of the money and everything was too expensive for him. I was confused because we had been talking about this for at least a month. He got very angry when I questioned him. He stood up over me and yelled. I had to put him out. He told me if I put him out, it's over. I stood my ground and made him leave. He called back crying and apologizing. I was over it. We kept in contact for another week. That next week, I ended things with him. He got so nasty. He told me nobody would love me. He was the best I ever had, blah, blah, blah. I just laughed and hung up. I do know that some women who watch my videos and, get into the comment section get frustrated because they think that women are not paying attention. Women keep repeating these patterns over and over. But please know and understand that younger ladies are listening to us. Some older ladies are listening to us. Women in general are learning from all of these stories. Keep that in mind. Just like this woman says Thank you. I'm glad I knew what signs to look for because of women like you. This young man was irritated. His health is failing and his finances are not where they should be. And this woman was able to figure that out really early on before she put in a long investment. And that's because we keep having these conversations. We're going to continue to have these conversations because they are important. They're important so women can see these signs and know the next question, because all of these red flags don't just pop up. Sometimes you have to probe a little bit. All right, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
I mean, come on. I know you. You know you. And I know you know that